He's got it in him. He's just trying to
do the right thing.
check and see if this is.
But you know what? That's the funny thing too. Think about it. Like when it comes to, like in the history of, I can't say any other place but America. It's in history. But you think about the history of America, and the most revolutionary people turn into the most sedated individuals as well. When they're kids, like think about the hippies. Hippies were so, in liberating and doing this and that. And then when they all got older,
They got conservative.
Yeah. Black Panthers, they
Black
were very
Panthers.
strong and hardcore. And then when they got older, they kind of became not conservative, but they were way more relaxed than they were.
Well, you know what? I think part of it is because they were tired. They were like, all right, y'all got to carry this torch.
I'm telling you, war of attrition will wear you out.
Yeah.
If you had ability to last the length of the marathon, you can beat them because they're gonna get tired.
Yeah.
If you just have enough people to sacrifice, and you got enough time to waste, they'll give up. Nobody wants to fight.
No. What people also don't realize, yes, there's relaxation, there's fatigue and victory, there's fatigue and defeat. There's definitely fatigue and victory. So,
Because sometimes even when you win, you don't win.
yeah.
You're exhausted.
It's
All
more,
right, guys.
It's more than it's just over.
We are on. Welcome everyone to another great episode of ATF Radio Show. We are live on our YouTube live channel. We have
Mr. Tagner,
Sir Shirts and, of course I tag him. We've got Sir Shirts and Shoes in. We've got the lovely Chair Force Steve.
Got the bags.
oh, I see you. Fanny packing, fanny whacking.
Well, my girl got me in.
Oh man, I knew you were gonna come to the dark side.
Oh.
It's got
Apartments.
I knew it was gonna come. You would come to the
Is
dark
that
side.
a fanny pack?
No,
or is
so
that
this is a European man satchel. So this is not fanny.
EMS.
But it does have, look, I've got magazine pockets here. I've got a pistol pouch here. And then just little accoutrements in there. A beard comb, my lighters, my cutters.
Everybody just tell me what you think. You know the same thing.
It's different, bro.
It feels the same.
I appreciate you getting in with this.
I hate it. I appreciate it. I love it, man. I just want you to reach down inside and accept the fact that you just like.
That's sharp though. That's nice too though. I
I do that too.
I guess I'm gonna have to go on and jump in the waters with you too
It's convenient.
Since ain't nobody drowning here.
Super convenient.
You know, it is what it is.
I mean, especially if you're a cigar smoker or if you're just, because a lot of people don't have cabinets. Now, if you don't carry anything, you don't got nothing worth carrying, like you don't smoke cigars, or you carry cigars, and a lighter and a cutter. No. But for somebody like me, my number one problem is I don't have stuff in my pockets. And number two, I carry too much stuff. I'm not carrying a little.
Yeah.
And when you wear your linen shorts, you don't know all the stuff. Oh, by the way, what you said, got my eggplant sweatpants. The sweatpants came in, but it was a little warm today. Didn't want me to sweat on the print, so I decided to not wear the sweatpants today, but I did wear the shirt.
You ain't sneaking diddle past me.
Hey, so a nice little shipment came in, so I decided to bring some cigars in for you. So,
Man, this mother load over here. Look at this.
so Eagle Red Dots.
Look at this.
We've been buying a lot of cigars.
These are uncuts.
I come in, I'm thinking I'm the only one that's gonna bring a whole box in.
Yep.
And he's got a whole box, and I got my box, and then he brings his box. It's like, oh God, we just going nuts over here.
Here we are. We
And
got
then it's crazy because a lot of my rep friends in the industry have seen that, what we're doing over the past year. So now I'm just literally getting shipments of cigars. And they're like, hey, smoke these on the show. Try them out, give them a review, talk about them. So, we'll be smoking cigars for ever and ever.
Forever.
It's a long time when you gotta take the floor off of it.
Just say 5 of them. So let's get into it. This Cohiba Red Dot, probably one of my favorites because I'm very partial to Dominican Puros.
Yes, you are.
And
And thank you for bringing me to the Dominican Puro side of things too,
Shout out to Mr. Sean Williams.
I don't think I've ever had it.
for sure.
I think you should cut that and smoke that now instead of. Yeah, because you've already smoked that. You know what it is. Just go ahead and cut that bad boy, put a torch to it, and let us know. So we've got a couple things coming up this evening. The Majestic Cigar Club. They had a event that I wanted to talk about. Miss Tia Price wasn't able to come on today because she's got so much to do today. But I did want to talk about it. They've got so much good stuff. Oh, it's Seahorse Poker?
I sure do.
So tonight, 8 o'clock
See you.
at Justin's Caribbean Fusion out in off of Conroe in the Windermere area is the Pumps and Puffs edition of Puerto Rico, hosted by the Majestic Cigar Club. 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. It's very sexy obviously, so make sure you dress accordingly. We still don't wear masks, ladies and gentlemen.
Social distancing. Stay safe.
Protect your neck.
Not for yourself, but for others.
Shot me.
Another big loss. Only 57 years old.
Just grab it by the pistol.
And, on and on.
I love
the same
that
song.
will never get old.
Never.
It will never get old.
Man was a poet laureate, and he broke.
Bay Area?
And he broke Tupac.
Yeah, babe. Y'all saw Tupac in the background dancing.
Doing Tuesday.
Yeah. So, but yeah, another loss. Folks dropping like flies. There was no cause of death listed. He was here. He was in a hotel room in Tampa.
Yep.
So, and I know I believe he's a West Coast boy. He's from the Bay Area.
Bay Area? Okay.
But yeah, rest in peace, Shakti, aka Gregory Jacobs, old friends, and you all got got the music, so play it, light one up for a brother. So
Pour a little bit out.
got to.
It's a cat food. It's too much.
But again, folks, take care of yourself. So you can't once you're gone, you can't come back. Only one person did that, and he left again. So, I'll see y'all on the flip side.
It is another beautiful day out in sunny Orlando. It's about what, 85 right about now?
89.
Oh, 89, excuse me. We are out right on the water in Sanford on Seminole Boulevard here at our Executive Cigars. In the boardroom, members only, of course. If you have not stopped by to check out this shop, make sure you do step by. The bartenders, the drinks are amazing, the atmosphere is great. There's always live music. If you're that type of snob like I am, then you definitely want a membership to the boardroom. 24-hour access, lockers, big couches, TVs, beer on tap, anything you want, you can have it here.
I think you gotta emphasize that 24 hours. 24. That means
All
day.
day. They've even got a barber chair set up in here. The barber comes in on Mondays to do appointment only haircuts and shaves. Private access.
Does a great job from what I heard. So people love it. Does the whole hot towel and everything.
Okay.
Straight up. But straight razor, that's the only way to go. Smooth. Smooth.
So stop by and see Tom, see Erica,
Like boiled eggs.
James, Erica, Genesis.
Like his head. Smooth.
Smooth. So, but don't get it twisted up in here. There are cameras in here, so 24-hour access doesn't mean
Keep it up. Wow.
you can get freaky deaky.
You can if you want to.
Well,
Yeah,
I
the world's hard.
guess if
You
you
can
want,
do what you want.
if you want to be seen, you can be seen. So this is the place.
That reminds me of a couple of interesting days in Gulf Coast.
So, moving on.
Specific
You're gonna back in action. Shout out to Josh and CJ from Bellicoso.
Absolutely. I reached out to both of them yesterday, just because I had on a Bell Coastal shirt, sent out a picture. So they both responded, like the old school vibe. So Bella Coastal's always near and dear. So it was the
That's where we all met.
Yeah, it was common denominator.
That was like our Mecca. That was
Yeah.
our Howard University.
It was.
That was where three of us, our wonder triplet powers combined, and
That's it.
we became the ATF.
Yeah. It's also
Fantastic.
it's also where we met the villains too
Close bros.
in our saga too.
That is true.
Who we dispatched with equipment. Mm-hmm. They out there.
Haters are your greatest motivators.
That's right.
You told me to use it, now you call me a thief.
That's how it is. See how he talked about it earlier, about how weird it was that I would say that, and now he's like, you know what?
I mean,
It's all good.
give you credit or whatever. I don't really care.
This red dot.
I told you.
It's been a minute.
Hey, it's a classic, and it's got that perfect balance of like medium to full strength and that pepper that it's not always peppery, but it just hits you right when you're ready for it. Well balanced cigar.
This is a cigar that you would think was cold-winded.
Okay.
So, speaking of cigars, another shout out to Executive Cigars and Lounge. Just yesterday, they finally got him in. Rodriguez.
Oh yes.
Out of Key West. They got the Premier Plus, they got the Reserva, they got the Series 84 Maduro. Picked up a box yesterday. So I was literally sitting here waiting. I was sitting outside, chilling, being cool like I am. UPS dude walks past me with this dolly and everything else, and I thought nothing of it. So he goes on inside, and shout out to the tobacconist here at Quiñones, who sent me a message saying, come inside and get something for you. So I walk on in, walk up to the counter, and Rodriguez is in my house. And I was like, give me one, give me a box, I'm ready. She was like, I got the inventory then fast. So I said, okay, it's fine, don't wait. And then after they got inventory, I said, I'm ready to buy it. She goes, no, not yet, I gotta get the approval first. So,
Yeah, you can't just come here just buying
everything.
limited boxes willy-nilly. I don't know if you are. You ain't got that type of clearance.
You got that clout.
so I waited my turn.
Evidently he does because he got a box.
Walked out of here yesterday with one. So,
That's what she said.
and I believe, hey, I get the receipt. I had to pay for my box.
Don't we all?
I had to do a Jerry.
Sir, I'm gonna need you to tone this down. We are literally not even 15 minutes in.
That much is already going hard to paint.
Wow!
Fuck around and find out.
Wow!
Man. Well, this will be interesting episode.
But Virgil wants a box too.
Virgil unstoppable.
Yeah.
So I don't even
You know
understand.
why he needs a box? He just calls and it just teleports to his house.
And also, shout out to TC. Everybody knows him by TC. He also wants a box. But it was a long time coming. But a change is going to come. And Rodriguez is in the house. Now, how long they're going to be here, I don't
They're gonna be here
know.
long, I can tell you that.
If I were you,
It really does.
I would get your ass down here and buy a box or buy your sticks.
Don't say
Make
buy
it-
a box, because they might not be able to buy a box. So don't tell the people, oh, you can come buy a
If
box
you
and
can't
show up.
Buy a box.
Share.
Okay.
Sharing is caring.
All right, then make it quick. Buy a stick. If you don't, you can. Yeah.
You know, Steven's one of those two-stick maximum guys.
That's what she said.
Exactly, that's exactly what she said.
Anymore, it's going to be kind of a mess.
I don't even know where to go from this.
So there was supposed to be another executive ladies club group meeting today, but I believe it's been rescheduled. So when that next time that occurs, we will make sure that we are in the house so we can make sure we can give the ladies of that group some love. I know the first meeting, I believe they had, yeah, they had I think 30 something said they were going to be here, and I think 21 showed up, which for an initial Lady Cigar Group meeting is pretty good. So shout out
Food
to,
was catered by Chantel Listen Show.
I guess it was.
Yeah, I think
Started right now.
But shout out to
What's in the wines?
to Erica and to Erica for putting that on and making the ladies feel welcome. So we will continue to support. So like I said, we'll throw that out there too. So it has been canceled for today. But we'll keep you posted on what the next one is once we get a confirmed date.
And make sure you follow us on Instagram, the ATF Radio Show, DA Cigar Snob, Sir Shirts and Shoes is Art Man Forever, and Stephen D _ M. That's Chairman Stephen.
Yeah, we
So
you can enjoy some of my cool photos and pictures of my dog.
That's true. You are
you know,
photographer.
you gotta bring Enzo in. He should be on the show.
Enzo's
He got
really,
right there.
I think he's about ready for that, man. We'll give him some bourbon, give him a cigar, let him chill. You know, he's been eating mushrooms lately, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, you gotta bring him on in.
He's trying to
Bring
get
him in.
buzz, man. That dog is smarter than a person.
You can tell us a story or two, man. You on the shrooms.
So, it's a funny story. Yesterday, I get home and he's sitting in the crate. He's been in the crate all day because I shot him. And I went to do some pictures, just some scenic pictures. I'm trying to work on the craft again, do it more regularly. And I come home and I don't want to, want to play with him because he's been sitting in the crate most of the day. So I get home at 2:30 and I play with him a lot. So sometimes we wrestle, sometimes we play hide and go seek. It's crazy, right? The dog knows how to play hide and go seek. So what we do is we'll come in the house and he has his own crate. And I tell him to go in the crate and I'll go hide. And then I'll say, come and find me. And he gets out and looks for me. And then when he finds me, he's like, oh, now I go back in the crate, he runs, he cheats. He's a cheater too. Because you guys have both been, have you been to my house yet?
No, I've never been invited.
I've been.
You have been invited, liar. Man. So you've seen how my house is set up, where the hallway is
Yeah.
and where his crate is, right?
Yeah.
So sticks his head out, and for you for now, it's a wall right there.
Oh, is he-
but his
he
crate
puts it
sticks
around
out.
the corner?
He peeks around
I
the
do
corner,
it.
watches
I
where
do
I
it.
go.
Hey.
Little cheater. What people don't know is that's tactical training from a dog. So
I was
just in
gonna
case
say.
things get crazy and rowdy, I'm just gonna let you know. Don't worry about the dog. The dog is the least of your worries. The dog is letting me know where to aim. That's all I'm gonna
That's
say.
pretty much it.
Yeah, that's all. Some people like a pack dog. I don't need a pack dog because
I just need a pointer
I
dog.
just need a pointer. That's all I need him for.
Because you will walk in, but you will get carried out.
Because he will bark at you if he doesn't see you, but he can tell you're there, and that's all I need.
Hey, that's it. That's the point of it. To protect you.
That's kind of what. And plus, I think it's better to have a dog that's just friendlier because, there's too much liability if a person does something weird and a dog reacts to it. Because I've seen the best trained dogs react incorrectly to sudden movements or anything.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't never look at it that way. And it helps with PTSD. So if you soldiers out there need something to help you with PTSD, e-dog is a
Service
wonderful,
Info is great.
best thing that you can buy.
If you don't like dogs, equestrian. Yeah, there's a horse program, part of a group called Fairways for Warriors, and it's a golf group, but they also are connected with a horse training group that hooks up soldiers and horses to help with PTSD. So you go out to this ranch in a little bit outside before you get to Ocala, and it's like a 6 or 8 week intensive program. You're out there for 4 hours once a week, and you just leading horses, petting them, learning how to ride, learning how to deal with them, learning how to feed them. And the research has shown that other than service settings as far as dogs are concerned, that's probably the next best thing. If let's say you live in an apartment, you can't have a dog, or you're really allergic to dogs. If you're not allergic to horses, it's one of the best things for you. So,
And for my money, horses are top 5 most beautiful animals.
very majestic.
Yeah. But don't get kicked. good company.
So what's your thoughts on this Cohiba? Because I haven't really smoking. You're in it.
Well, it's very interesting. I'm not really a peppery person, so
I am.
I'm really
I like to say
not
what
a
I flavor
nitpicker
it.
about it. But when it comes to like pepper, I typically stay away from pepper unless it's really creamy. And this has a really creamy texture to it. I think in the later times of my cigar journey, before I wouldn't have picked this up. I would probably smoke it doing. But now,
I
that's
appreciate it. Yeah.
it's different. And I think that's what kind of changes with journey of smoking is that sometimes you try stuff and as your palate gets better, you kind of learn how to enjoy stuff a little bit more. So I think what it is that now I can appreciate the other characteristics of the smoke, and the pepper's not so bad. And that's when, and it's kind of like, to me, it's almost like a black pepper.
Yeah.
It's like a black pepper, and it is kind of a bomb when it hits you.
But
So-
it doesn't, it's not constant. It
No.
wanes away, and it settles out, and then you just get that medium to full smoke. And then it comes back in, it starts off slow, and it pops you, and it comes back out. So I do appreciate that. Like I said, I love pepper sticks,
Same.
but I do appreciate a well-made cigar that has its ebbs and flows of flavor and spice and strength. So
You also too have to remember when you're smoking something like this, you want to coat smoke a little bit more than hot smoking it. And I think that's what usually draws people. That was my mistake as amateur, is I would smoke it hard. And you can't smoke something like this too hard, or it's just going to make it bitter. It's going to take away the flavor. So I think when you smoke it cold, you kind of get a bitter taste of the cigar itself. So that's a good thing that you keep in mind too. But yeah, it's good. I actually like it. I honestly, well, the taste that I had right now today, that's why I wasn't going to smoke it at first, because my taste buds right now was not for something that I knew was going to be kind of peppery. But it's good. I do like it. So I do.
and this is about as oily as I go. This has a tad bit of oil when you wrap it. I'm not an oily wrapper person. I can't get into it. It kind of takes away from the actual cigar taste. But it's just the right amount of oil.
Would you consider this an Oscuro?
Yeah.
You would not. Feels like it's getting close to it.
It's close. That's why I said medium to full. It's definitely not a full body smoke.
Yeah.
Which even your cold draw on it, you can get that straight, but it's not overpowering. So, like Kill Bill 2.
Yeah.
A cigar, another cigar, you look at it and it's unassuming, like, nah, it's not going to have any strength, and then you smoke it and you're like, all right, I got to rest the cigar for 5 minutes and collect myself. Art's over here, retro head and everything.
Oh, and that pepper really
Yeah, if
comes.
you don't retro it though, you kind of miss a lot.
Yeah, that pepper really comes through on the retro head too. Just pick up so much more flavor.
You chew and you smoke. Really, you have that smoking mouth, kind of chewing to open those taste buds up, pulling all those subtle flavors that you would not normally taste just smoking. Like you say, hot something, you wouldn't get it. Pulling it and actually chew and smoke a little bit, opens the palate up, opens the taste buds up, and you get to pick up and so you wouldn't normally pick up, which is why, when you read certain cigar magazines or listen to certain people on podcasts and they say they taste this and taste that, and you're kind of like, I just taste, dirty tobacco, pepper. It's because their palates obviously are more refined for the smoking, but also because it's the way that you smoke. It's not just putting a cigar in your mouth and pulling it instead. It's, actually letting it linger in the ash.
And well constructed, holds that ash. I'm all about that ash.
Congratulations to you again, sir.
On?
Your daughter's graduation.
Oh man, I'm so proud of her. I was a little worried about her this week. This was her last week, this week of finals and everything. I checked on her Wednesday. I said, how you doing? She goes, this week sucks, Daddy, and I'm just ready for it to be over. She goes, but I'm good. Yeah. So that's it. So May 3rd, I'll be graduating, proud of her. And in spite of her already having the MLB network gig, ESPN is still chasing after her.
That's a good problem to have.
Man.
That's a good problem.
She turned down Fox Sports LA.
What?
Yeah, she likes LA to visit with Blue.
Oh, she doesn't do that. Okay, well,
I don't like it.
Yeah. So, but the consideration now is moving to MLB headquarters, which is in Secaucus, New Jersey. So we're going to talk about the Michigan to visit. So
You guys bring on the show.
yeah,
We'll have a couple cigars for her, a couple guns laid out for her to pick out.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
do a good old tasting.
yeah. Get her a margarita. She loves her tropical drinks. So yeah.
You gotta get her some. You gotta get her a bottle of that Sikoro too.
Which bottle?
Well, I mean, Dad,
Only the best.
the minimum you can get her is a Red Bull. That's the minimum.
Yeah, I don't think her pal's not sophisticated enough for the extra. Yeah.
Go ahead, pass that.
You never know, she might.
All right, well, we get a bottle of both. See where it goes. So, also, Tom and I had a quick conversation yesterday. He was asking me again for contact information for one of our former guests, Fedora Designs.
Yes.
Lauren Schender, and he wants to get a regular schedule for her. Really do it up. I don't know if you all have been following her on Instagram or Facebook, but man, she is on the move, and those fedoras are just unbelievable, just such quality. So,
I thought you were gonna bring the one in that you got. Did you get it yet? Or have you got it?
you know, she's a true professional. I ain't paid her not a dime yet.
Oh.
And I think each retail $15 to $40 each. So, you know, no money, no honey. So I understand that. So, but before we get to all that, we gotta work together to do that design, because she prides herself in customization. Everything is a, it's
One-off.
One-off. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get a few from her, because can't get just one off from her. You gotta get a few of those.
You got to make sure you give them somebody else.
That's right. That's right. You gotta wear that hat tight. Feel that brim to the rim. So, but shout out to Fedora Designs on Facebook, Instagram. Go to fedoradesigns.com. Check out those fedoras. Aloma's a true artist, so can't wait to get something scheduled for her here at Executive.
Shout out, I also had lunch with Brandon Fink from Bangtail.
Yes.
Yes. We had a great, we met up with the Twin Peaks in Altamont and had some wings and everything, hung out and talked.
How's it doing?
Phenomenal.
He's such a cool dude.
It's actually in, I'll tell you, he's got 6 stores in Total Wine. The one on Colonial by my house, the one in Altamont, and Colonial, Altamont. There's one in Jacksonville,
Okay.
and there are 3 other locations that the Bangtail whiskey is in stock right now.
Nice. Okay.
So,
I need to get a bottle. Bangtail whiskey. I remember
Yes.
we tried it when he was on the show at the previous location. And we all enjoyed it. And
Oh,
he's a good dude. Like, also a great musician.
So that's when something he was showing me. He's got a house out in Hampshire County,
Okay.
and on a 4-acre plot. And he's now,
Nice.
he's now taking it to the point where, because he does songwriting and everything, so the Nashville circuit of songwriters, he's doing a songwriters retreat at that location. So songwriters can go there, they get sponsored, they go there for a whole week. They have a full 24-hour chef. They've got getting a lagoon built on the property.
What?
Yeah, he's got a recording studio. He's got 5 or 6 bedrooms, full bath, everything laid out.
He needs a jacuzzi
Where they
too.
can just, that's I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah.
Where they can just go there, hang out for the week, and then record songs, just get away from everything else, and focus solely on the music. And
That's
he was
awesome.
showing me some of the videos of his round tables at one of the, there was one that they had in Nashville at Simon's Lodge, and these guys, I'm not the biggest country music fan, but it's definitely grown on me over the years, and some of these guys, I mean, just the music's amazing. They just pick up a guitar and handle a concert, everybody's singing and playing guitar, and it's phenomenal. So he's doing a lot. He also was at the Daytona Speedway for a fundraiser event. He is the only person, other than a NASCAR driver, that had the NASCAR Hall of Fame is on the media reel. So
Oh,
they have a
really?
media reel, all the guys say, hey, you know, this is Jeff Gordon, the 24 blah, blah, you know, please, thank you for visiting, please donate. And he's the only person that's not a NASCAR driver that's on it. Because he's sponsored, he did a free event there, and he donated, donated $1,000 to their NASCAR's Cancer Research Fund. And they support local hospitals and help to pay bills for, you know, cancer patients when their, you know, parents or they can't afford it. So he's eager to give it back. And it was just one of those things. I was like, man, it's like, that's truly historical because no one gets, so it doesn't matter how much money you pay, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're not a NASCAR driver, you cannot be in that meeting.
That's
You're paying to that point. So shout out to them. We will be doing something, I'm sure, in July. So you can throw a little tidbit out there. It's going to be a 4th of July party.
Shucky ducky, quack, 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 shucky ducky. It's gonna be on and on, the same song.
There will be a huge fireworks display. There will be a Bangtail whiskey tasting. He's going to be here for the show. We have the show. We're going to go out into the other side of the executive, and we're going to have a full-on event. We're still working on testing out cigars to see what to prepare the whiskey with, and then we'll have a cigar and whiskey event. So we include the fireworks show, and he's going to perform for us. So
This is going to be the place to be.
yes.
And the place to be.
Absolutely. So look out for that. You'll see more about it on the executive Facebook and Instagram page. You'll see more about it on my personal and business page on Facebook and Instagram. And we will keep you posted. But that's going to be one of our big events.
Make sure you tag me on it so I can reshare that. Make
Oh,
sure this pops up as well. So, Bangtail whiskey, Brand is a good dude. I'd like to know why. And to your point, I'm not a country music aficionado by any means, but I certainly appreciate the history of artists like Charlie Brown, who just recently passed away. You know, and some others, and the roots of country, you know, into the roots of rock and roll and R&B and so forth, and gospel. So,
Absolutely.
you know, but I do like Mr. Shania Twain.
Of course you do.
So,
Very underwood.
Makes you feel like alone.
you know, well, that's what she said to me. But, you know, but I like it. So,
Now, country music, I'm a singer. I'm not a big fan of country music, and most of my friends know that I do not care for it as a music genre.
but I respect it.
But it's not a bad genre, and I think the reason why I don't care for it as much because I'm a blues fan. And to me, it's
Well, you can't have country without the blues.
That's what it is.
Exactly, and that's what it is. To me, I think that you can have blues without country, but you can't have country without blues. And I think there's some rhythm in blues and some you feel it. And I think that's what it is, genuineness of blues. And that's probably why I've always gravitated towards older blues because you can feel like how you can feel his music when he's like performing. When he's performing him, Muddy Waters, Smokestack Lightning is out.
I knew you were going to say Muddy Waters. I knew that was coming.
Muddy Waters, even for what he was, you got to think about it. Muddy Waters. There was no Muddy Waters. I love him. You know, he, God rest his soul, Little Richard. He actually was buried back home where I'm from. And as much as I love Little Richard, if there was no Muddy Waters
Oh, agreed.
in the mainstream, and in particular in the mainstream, I think that we would have always had Little Richard as the artist he was, but I don't think we wouldn't have had the Rolling Stones.
No, of course
We wouldn't have had any of those classic rock guys that everyone loves so much. And I like Rolling Stones, but only for so much.
You wouldn't have had Led Zeppelin either, because what most people don't realize, Led Zeppelin is a blues band. They just play hard.
It was just grungy before grunge was a thing.
Yeah, they were Nirvana before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so and I like country. Here's the thing about country. I like country as a live performance. If you ever get a chance to go to Nashville,
That's true.
if you don't like country music, go to Nashville and listen to it. Go in a bar and listen to them perform. It's completely different. It's not even the same. And that whole, I think what it is the twanginess of the production that they do that I don't like. But when they're playing,
When
they're
it's genuine
singing,
and it's live, it's
it's
just
good. It's genuine. You feel it.
you vibe to it. It grabs you. Doesn't matter if you don't like it or not. Doesn't matter if you can't. I relate to what they're saying. Just the sound of it. It says, listen to me, like, okay, you sit down and you listen.
Just like my one prime example is one of my favorite songs that is a country song is Tennessee Whiskey. Tennessee Whiskey to me is like, it said he's singing everything that I think a lot of times.
Yeah.
You can tell that there's something there. You can't sing music like that and not be broken somehow, has some hardship. One other song, Seven Summers, kid from Shelby, Shelby something, Tennessee. It's not Shelbyville. He has it's a love song, but it has a good sound to it. It still has that twanginess to it, but he's so young, he sings it a little bit different than we are accustomed to hearing in the country music. But I'm the same way. When they turn it on, I'm just like, and it's not the racial undertone. It's just it doesn't make me move.
Yeah, you gotta feel it. And shout out to the family of Muddy Waters, aka McKinley Walton family. Earlier in my technology career, I actually worked with one of his grandmothers. And his family, they do a good job managing and running his estate. They own all his masters. And so they're well taken care of. They're big, beautiful
All of the Rolling Stone stuff, all that, did they make money off of?
Yes.
Just about all of the music there.
They had a little, for lack of a better term, I won't even call it a compound in Western Illinois, where his family, with the woods stays together, protects his estate, his images, his houses, and so
Well, it's like I was watching that Prince special, and they showed the ball at Prince's house. I mean, this dude not only had, vinyl, and he had tapes, like cassette tapes of recordings. He had writing, like all the songs, he compiled a massive audio library of not just his music,
yeah, but most of it was stuff that he created, and then at the last minute said, oh, I'm not going to release
Right,
this.
he's like, I like it, but I don't love it, so
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they also know some of what's in the vault, and they were saying that there's music in the vault that has not been released that's better than music he has released. So somewhere around 8,000 songs in there.
Think about all the Morris Day Tom stuff that they made. Like a lot of the songs that Morris Day got were songs he had in the gold.
Well, those first two
made.
Yeah, those first two albums, he wrote the music. So, I mean, he wrote Gigolos Good Morning 2 and 777 through 11, all those songs, Jungle Love, all that stuff. He wrote that. So for him to write music specifically for a band, and write music specifically for himself and the Revolution, was just incredible. But he can release an album of new material every year, 10, 15 songs for the next 100 years. At least, we still have that through all of it. Yeah. So just prolific. There's about 39 studio albums in 40 years, and talk about his battles.
I guess that's the dynasty.
Yeah. And you talk about his, when he's changing things to the symbol, fighting with Warner Brothers, and I get the premise. He wanted to release an album every 2 or 3 months. Warner Brothers was like, no, you're going to oversaturate the market. He goes, well, wait a minute. He goes, when authors write books, when Stephen King writes a book, it gets published as soon as it's ready. He said, so I shouldn't have those same restrictions. Both he and Jordan Michael went through that whole fight, with record labels saying, all right, well, if I'm under contract, I should be able to release when I want to, when it's ready. You all shouldn't, you all aren't the artists, you all have suits. I'm the artist. Yeah. And he's like, I'm proven, I sell, people like my shit, so release it. So, but he got through that thankfully, and he bought back another one, bought back all the rights to all of his music. Mm-hmm. So his six siblings, managed his estate. And the only mistake he made was that he did not legal will, which is why music is being released. Because when you don't leave a will, you have that kind of wealth in the state of Minnesota, you're subject to a 50% tax hit. So, that's why there's
So they're going to have to release music just to
cover all that. So, but that's the good thing about it is that we'll continue to get new music. Because, as song called Welcome to America that he recorded in 2010 that was just released, and he's got a new album coming out, and the music that he made in 2010 that's coming out in July. So I already pre-ordered it on iTunes.
Even iTunes were, before he passed, iTunes were doing a lot of releases. They were doing a few releases, and then after his passing, they've been doing releases of his music, just random, LPs that just came out of nowhere. And I was like, I never heard this. Or what he would do is, a lot of people didn't realize he did a lot of different renditions of the same song.
Yes.
Where it sounded very different, where he was just trying things where, he was 5 minute lab, he was like, I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
change this up a little bit.
Or he said, you know what, I like this, but it's not for me. So let me give it to Sinead O'Connor. Let me give it to the Bangles. Let me give it to, whomever, so that takes a lot of generosity to give somebody a song when you know it's going to be a hit, but you know it's not for you.
It's not for you.
Sometimes it's just better.
It is.
Perfect example, Earth, Wind & Fire given, Phil Collins' Easy Love.
Yeah.
That song, when I hear that song, I think when I first heard the song, it was just the intro to it. I was like, this sounds like, this does not sound like Phil Collins.
No.
And then it wasn't until I saw the verses that I even realized that
That's Earth, Wind & Fire.
that's all Earth, Wind & Fire.
Yeah, the feel of it. When you hear the song, you can tell by the feel. It's like that song "Let's Get Serious" by Jermaine Jackson, but no Samuel Jackson. You can tell that's a Stevie Wonder song.
Okay. I'm thinking, what about
So
Freddie Gibbs?
what's everybody drinking? No, not right now.
Oh, you know what I've been on lately thanks to TC's ass? Oh, I got another TC story for you. TC got me on Diplomatico.
I've been trying to.
I
I
know.
was gonna say Steve would talk
That's
about
what
Diplomatico.
Diplomatico is. If you don't drink
Inside the head.
Diplomatico, you've got to drink. It's such a good, clean rum that you can give it to a female, male, anybody, whether weak, as far as being able to drink strong stuff or not. It's a very good drink.
I was having a bad day. I came in here, sat down, and he was like, what's wrong? And I said, oh, nothing, man, just dealing with something.
They sound like a little Jerry.
He was like, you need a drink, you need a drink. So he told Leon, get what I'm drinking. I'm like, what are you drinking? He goes, you'll see. So, and he brought back the Diplomatico on ice, and I enjoyed it, mellowed me out, had a cigar. But now I like it neat, so.
I'm a new drinker. I mean, I think when I was younger, like in my 20s, everything had to be on the rocks. Everything. Now, I think my palate just evolved so much that I don't, that one drop of water and some whiskey or something is fine. But I don't want to dilute it.
I hear you.
Because at this point, you're not drinking in excess or drinking to get drunk. You're drinking to relax. You're drinking to just get to an even keel.
That's it.
And to a point where you can just really enjoy what you're doing, whether it's smoking a cigar, whether you're working on it, whatever you're doing. At the point I'm at now, it's like I drink because I want to just relax. I want to get hyped. However, conversations,
We turn out.
I will still turn the fuck up.
I like to do it when it comes to especially Diplomatico, I like to put ice cube in there, swirl it, let it melt a little bit, and have that residual, at least that condensation on it. I mean, I'll throw the ice cube away and pour it in there just so it has a shock of cold water, because I don't want it to get cold. Right. It's not gonna. Then you won't have that aroma for it. But let it fall in there, swirl it a little bit, and I think sometimes a little bit of water takes off the sweetness to it, some of it, because I'm really a stickler for things that are too sweet, and it almost is too sweet to me. So now once I get about 2 drinks in, I'll get on that.
Well, what I've been doing too is my little Yeti cup. I've been putting it in there, and then I'll just put it in the fridge for a couple hours, and then I'll take it out, and then it's cold. So I don't mind that so much.
I think that's coolness for me. I just the temperature. I want to bring the temperature down just a little bit, not a lot, just enough that it doesn't taste like I'm drinking hot water. So I like to do that. I keep a bottle. I always got it. The last time you came by, I had a bottle.
I've been on that sexy. really.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
go to. That's
I'm ashamed to say I probably gone through like 4 bottles.
That's pretty good.
That's just one of those ones that
You got that too, son.
it's like you literally sit back on the patio.
You can drink
Before
for
you,
a
and yeah, before, and that's what happens. Before you know it, you're like pouring, and the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, there's nothing, like I'm tapping the bottom of the bottle while I'm pouring out. Like,
And then there's a help that it's a really dark bottle.
right, so you can't tell what's in it.
That less. Every time, actually, on another podcast I listened to, TLE, name escaped me, but they talked about it, and she's like, yeah, sex news is like my go-to Irish.
Yeah.
So, and after, and I told now that I drink it, I tell all my friends who like Jameson. I think that kicks it.
And then now, like, my girl started smoking more cigars with me. I've gotten her into
Hey, nice.
the Java Maduro
Yeah.
mints.
Okay.
So she's really liking those.
That's
And-
Jonathan Drew, right?
Yes, sir. And we've been going through, I'm going to need to get some shares in Tempora. But we've been going through those bottles of Rosado. Like,
So, yeah, so, but yeah, but I stay on the repo with my old fashions. But yes, definitely that goes.
yeah,
It's good. It's good. So
It's not that expensive.
it's not. It could be priced higher than it is, but
and then the presentation is in the
$10
bottle.
I get mine in Costco.
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's like crazy.
Yeah, that's for the word.
Total wine was $28.
But every time I go to Total Wine, it flip flops. 1 minute is 30, then it's matter of fact, one Total Wine I went to the one in Vera, at the shopping center in Vera, it was like 35.
See, it really truly depends on the location. It's the same thing like that Jimmy Jack here. I paid like $48 for it. I went to St. Augustine, stopped at the Walmart out there, and got the same Gentleman Jack in a half gallon for $42. And I was like, thinking it was a mistake, so I was like, let me hurry up and get it before they notice the price. And I was like, is this the normal price? And he's like, yeah, that's our everyday price. So, just like cigars, when you're going out looking for your drink, you gotta go, you gotta price match. Same thing, Sam's Club too.
Yeah.
I'm a cheapo guy. I'll admit it. I'm frugal. I want the best bargain. I'm not going to go well below what it's worth, but I do understand every company is competing with each other to sell a product, and I will go and find who sells it at the better price.
But see, to me, that doesn't
It's
make
like this box. I would have gotten a Corona. I told you about it. Corona had it on you have to order it and wait. And it was like 260 something. And over at Old Times. So, that's literally the price you're going to pay
Old Time
for
cigars.
each one there.
still one of the places to be in the Orlando area to go pick up your sticks.
Yeah, if you're on the Casablanca side of town, that's definitely the place to stop by.
And even if you're not, they're working.
They work the drive, they definitely are.
That's their in hand.
Oh, yeah.
So, my TC store. So he recently had an uncle Pennsylvania. So Uncle Doug's to his family.
Definitely.
And he was talking about
Huh?
yeah, 3 shots of Diplomatico. I got it.
Singles or doubles?
Doubles. Neat. Please.
I was about to say,
That's so high maintenance.
You ain't got no problem with it.
That's that guy.
Don't even have no regular lunch, no food, no break, no nothing.
You want something? What you need, girl? What you
she
need?
wants more than the cookies you ate.
Come on. Come on.
Oh, yeah. We gotta plug a couple more businesses, 1112 Customs for t-shirts.
Yes, got to. 'Cause they
And
will be the official ATF
they are the official TF
t-shirt provider.
t-shirt provider. They do all my shirts. And as well as, I don't know what the company's called, but the baked goods company of
You say you're big.
the Mazes.
You don't want to put no name on it. Yeah.
The Mazes Baked Good Company.
We'll call it unknown cookies.
Those chocolate chip cookies though,
Man. Pink cookies in a plastic bag, getting crushed by billions. Unbelievable.
and those guava jelly squares that you
Oh, and those chill out lollipops.
Oh, how you like them lollipops?
My man. My man.
You should have seen this guy on
My
Thursday.
man. That's why I was running late.
That's right.
Yeah, I woke up at 12:45
You got some
today.
good sleep.
I was like, whoa, I need to get up and get moving. So back to my TC story. But yeah, he had an uncle pass away recently, and he has family also in Alabama.
Mhm.
And apparently, his family and my family know each other in the Dothan and Headland areas, because that's where a lot of his family is. And so he connected with a member of his family and said, "Oh yeah, we know the Oates people." So TC and I, we have come to the agreement that somehow we are cousins, we are related. So TC is now family. So I'm claiming him as family, just as I claim the two of you as family. So there you go. So.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, and also, shout out to you, my brother, because when I came in here Thursday, I was feeling a certain kind of way.
You feel ultimate kind of way.
I was feeling a certain kind of way. So, but you kept me level amongst the masses. So I appreciate you looking out. I even asked Stephen, is the light moving? You were like, yeah, you own something if you can see the light moving. I was
It
like,
was barely,
Damn.
barely. He saw it somehow. I don't know how he saw it.
I happen to,
You're fine.
yeah,
James asked if you guys want orange.
it don't matter. Why he gotta be so extra?
Cause
He sent me this one.
Yeah, he's from Chicago. Sometimes I might have to explain.
oh wow.
But,
Damn. That's what.
But no, I was at Garfield Fuss
I saw that.
putting down.
Key lime pie.
Well, before that, I was putting down those pink Cadillacs there. I was feeling pretty good. So feeling pretty good. So
Yeah, you're usually the one that keeps me level.
I know. This
You know, every
time-
time you see me, my name come up on the FaceTime audio, I know you're like, God damn, what fire I got to put out now?
No, I don't think that at all. Because most of the time it's no fire. It's just, hey, what's up? What you up to? But in those instances, you know, we are there for each other. Both of you have definitely been there for me. So help me get rid of some dead weight. So
And my brother's keeper.
CMB, we all we got. So, but yeah, so the Diplomatico, certainly the Sinclair Rosado. Oh, and again, thanks to you, dipping more into the monkey shoulder.
Oh, monkey shoulder, my jam. Ooh.
Yeah. So
Here it is right here.
here's James. What up, James? How are you, brother? Good to see you.
What's going on?
Coming in with the beverages.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's always better with an orange squeeze.
All right.
Oh,
Hey,
okay. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You are the expert, sir.
Everything good with you?
Yeah, how much money you guys do doing your podcast?
Till about 8 o'clock. No, I'm joking. Why? What you need?
Because I'm trying to get in so I can have you guys go over our derby event for Saturday, what we're doing.
Yeah, you wanna jump on the mic and talk about it right now?
I just got 20 people walking all these motorcycles, so give me a minute.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Is that cool?
Yeah, we got you. We
Yeah.
got you.
Just let us know.
Yes.
All right, I might not have that could go over.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Either way, we're good.
We got it. So
Yeah, that derby event's gonna be, gotta find me some fresh sear supper for that.
what you gotta say that?
Sear fucker.
You ain't gotta say it like that.
My friend got, oh, there, speaking of TC,
Speaking of
yeah,
the man himself, man coming in with food.
you know he is. He got some Chantel. Probably got some,
Somebody.
probably got that catfish.
Cat.
Now I think he's trying to open the door with the app.
Catfish.
Yeah, he's trying to unlock the door.
Normally it's open. Let's see.
No, it's
No, it doesn't lock all the way.
Oh,
A lot of
that,
times you can just open. He is struggling. You want to grab it for him? Can you reach? So,
famous TC.
speaking of
film,
family,
everybody.
Y'all still doing it?
hey, man, we started at 3 o'clock, man. What's
Y'all
going on?
started late.
How are you? You bring us some food, man? What you got in that bag? I see you.
I ain't know y'all was still here, man.
You got some
Man.
catfish in there?
No, I went to Jamaica today.
Oh,
You got some lobster?
No oxtail.
the spot on Sanford?
What here? Oh,
Yeah, over there.
Yeah, not far down the street from Chantel.
What's his name? Mike told me to try the jerk chicken roti.
Oh,
Yeah, roti, I think I pronounced it right. Yeah.
I was just telling a story about how you and I found out that we are family, cousin.
You know what?
You know what? Given that he got family in South Alabama, he might be. I might.
You know what? Listen,
We might be related.
They knew his family. My side knew his family.
Right?
You know, so.
Small world.
My family
I mean, they
spread all
started
across
naming
South
names. I tried to call. I was gonna call Art, but you know, I'm like, no, I ain't gonna mess with him.
No,
They
it's all
started
good.
naming names.
Hey,
He said one girl real bad.
hey.
So I said,
It is what it is. My name is known all over the world. My foxy ladies in the pretty
Oh,
girls.
we lying?
Yeah, we got
Oh Lord, man, I better be cool. No, you don't see that. You see that be.
You alright?
You better be cool here. Y'all gonna have TC coming out.
We need to get one of those on-air signs in here. Just
Hell no, because then people mind what they say.
We don't want him to do that.
Oh no, we want them to be raw.
We want them to be who they
Like
can
Eddie
be.
Murphy.
Yes. That. So, what else are you drinking these days?
Gin.
Oh, now,
He's always been
now
good.
I've never been a gin person. What are your preferred gins?
Now you gotta try. Tom and I had one the other night over here. It's called Tom's Gin. It's not his actual gin, but
Salute.
salute.
ETF show number 2. We're doing the thing. Despite what others say.
Yeah, that's the like this. That only did give it a little.
Yeah, James is always trying to look out. So I take back what I said. He's still Chicago. So.
But yeah, that Tom's gin is in there. And it's funny because it's a caramel colored gin. So you're like, nah, that's not real gin.
See, I got
Taste
that. I got the diplomatico going, brother.
But then when you taste that gin, it's gin. Good.
They, is it stored in bourbon barrels?
I don't know. I didn't read too much on it because I was drinking so much.
That and
I couldn't see straight.
my go-tos. My go-tos are typically beef eaters. The beef eaters is just a regular gin, gin. It's nothing super special. It's just a good price point. It's pretty good dry gin. But if you really want to get fancy and you want something good, pick up Emperor's gin comes in a clear bottle. You got to think the bottle's purple, but the gin is actually purple.
Same thing with the St. Augustine Distillery gin. Their gin, and I'm not a gin drinker. I shy away from a lot of gin drinks. Like I just don't like the aftertaste, that bite to it. But that St. Augustine Distillery gin, smooth. Think you're drinking water almost. I mean, you still have that gin taste, but it's not
That's kind of how
overpowering.
Emperor is, it kind of, the botanical, you kind of taste it a little bit more. It's not so much of a burn. That taste that you're tasting after that is usually extra dry stuff. Blue Coat's a good one. Blue Coat is almost, it's a gin that's good enough to really drink straight. Actually, Blue Coat is a local family setup. So it's I can't remember. Sorry everybody. I'll definitely look it up. Had a paper at work in front of me, so I can actually shout out to the right people in the right places. But Blue Coat comes in a blue bottle. It looks like it's old school cough medicine in the bottle.
Nice.
But it's what it is it's a gin that's finished in a bourbon barrel. So it has bourbon characteristics to it.
Nice.
Very good. If you want an old fashioned with gin, or if you're trying to cut out carbs or anything like that, if you're that guy, that's a good thing to try it with. It gives it a new characteristic and flavor for old fashioned. But my go-to right now is really Emperor's. If I were going to say one that I would be like, you gotta try it. Emperor's with tonic water. But with gin, the biggest thing is the tonic water. Tonic water will completely change the characteristics of any gin because you got tonic water just sitting on the shelf, and then you go to a liquor store and get tonic water, which is different flavors.
I was gonna say, because I'm not a fan of the quinine that's in to get that taste. And so that's what I said, like for gin, like I prefer to drink it. I prefer to drink it. Well, I'll try that. Yeah, I love ginger ale anything, but I think I'll definitely try it.
If you want to try like an extra dry with ginger ale, with a good ginger ale you know you really like, perfectly prepared. You can do the Emperor's with a ginger ale. Pretty much any gin you can do with a ginger ale. And I think to make it a little bit smoother, it typically comes out a little bit better. Even though ginger ale has that kind of rough aftertaste to it sometimes, and some people may not like it. I think it goes really good with it. That's my go-to. You literally have a pack of ginger ale and tonic waters of different flavors all over the place. You know,
I'm just checking. I'm like, oh, yeah.
I found it before with this website called bringatrailer.com where you have no reserve option bids on cars. That's a
SL 500.
43,000 miles, 2003. 13,000. No, he's got an SLK. He's got the little. This is the big one.
Shout out to Luke because he did enjoy those Legend cigars that I actually did. Yeah, so I told him, I was like, I got another 2 5-packs to give you. So Luke, if you're listening, next time I see you, I will give you those 5-packs I keep in my travel humidor. So since you like those, that's another one that you can smoke all day. Enjoy. I'm going to go ahead and get into this where it's telling me because I've been waiting for this long episode. Go ahead and light up while you're out.
Fire it up.
I know last time we talked, I think it was not, maybe, yeah, this Thursday, I was telling you about them.
Yes.
Have you seen them?
I stopped watching. I can't.
See,
Look,
Before you start
second
smoking that, tell me why you stopped watching.
So the same vibe that I got, like I finished Rosewood because I was a kid and I was watching it and I was like, this is history and I need to watch it. But I had so many, and I don't even say mixed emotions. Like I had some serious like hate
it was like
while I watched it.
It was like my first time watching Roots.
It's
You know,
it's a traumatic. It's like they say it's a drama and everything, but it was so deeply traumatic just watching.
You told me you got to just
I
step
had
back.
to step back for a while.
That's
I
why
can't watch it.
I gotta have my mind. I started to watch some of it last night, but then
The scene where they break in the house and take the baby. That was where I was
No,
like, I couldn't
you
do it.
You mean the beginning or when they show what
When
happened?
they show what happened. Like that's when I think it was like episode 2 or 3, and I was like,
I was flying through episodes. When I got to that episode, I was like,
I'm done. Yeah, my girl was like, no, this is good, and I'm like, I can't watch this.
That's the
it was
worst.
written by somebody who's black, so
That
I need
was-
to have to go.
That
there.
literally was the worst episode in the whole out of all of them. After that, it doesn't get as bad as that. Well, you know, I ain't gonna say that.
Yeah, I haven't started it yet. I want to, but I know I gotta have my mind right,
Yeah, you gotta be in a totally different headspace.
and I gotta forget the combination to the second.
But I think the reason why I said that in regards to watching it, and a lot of people probably don't know why would you watch it, it's dramatic. Well, first of all, it's not necessarily a historic thing for me because everything that was in that show is stuff that I had already been told when I was growing up and I seen it, you know, kind of growing up. What I liked about it is I'm a movie buff, and you guys both know I'm really into art and the cinematography of it all, which what got me into wanting to keep watching.
And that's what my girl loved
I
about it.
made.
Like she's a true performer. She's a dancer. She's an artist. She's a singer. So for her, what really grabbed her was the cinematography of the story. She's like, we got to keep watching. And I'm like,
And here's the thing, this is stuff that really happened,
Yeah.
and so there's no
And then you look
mystery.
at the neighborhood that happened in and what that neighborhood is, what it represents now.
But so there should never be,
It's not.
the problem with American history is that it's not, the full story is not told. So, but there cannot be any mystery in history. You
But
gotta know.
that's the reason why when you look at shows like that, it gets you to that point where you don't want to watch it because these stories haven't really been told in the history books. You don't learn about it in school. Like you might hear about it from family members and you know, in older family members, but the fact that it's an actual show. Like this isn't like, oh, we're gonna put out 2 episodes. Like they put out a full season of this. And to think that
Very controversial. But
yeah, like it is. It is.
And you know what? Other than the horror aspect of it, and we can say it dramatized. I obviously, but the story itself, the way that stuff happened, sure, this particular person wasn't somebody that was a real person. This story, how it lined up, wasn't all real. Maybe, and I think I debated with you about who the religious group was that took over, but I want to say they were Quakers. How that part happened is debatable, but the reality of it all is that I think anybody, especially if you live under the Mason-Dixon line and you grew up in that area, these are real stories.
Yeah.
This is stuff that happened that your grandfather or your great-grandfather was telling you about, and you're just like, maybe. And it's one thing, because my mom would watch stuff like that, because to her, it's like a reality check to what it really
It
is.
reminds you of what you came back.
Exactly. So you hear that, it's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to see it in film and see the reality of it, and it gets to be a lot to digest. And for me, I thought, like I said, the cinematography was let me watch it. I just wanted to see how, and Lena Waithe, she's executive producer on it, and that woman, I give her all praise. She is so good at getting material. I mean, Shy it's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, it's coming back up.
It's coming back. It's a great show. But kind of a lighter note in regards to that. Since you guys have watched it, who do you think is my favorite character in that show?
I'm gonna have to say that little girl.
What show?
Of him.
I have to
I
start.
haven't seen it. I'm gonna have to say the little girl.
Yeah, it's tap and at the end, you definitely see why.
Okay.
The way
I'm
he
gonna have to try to finish it and try to watch it, but I had to step away and I was like,
How many episodes did you get through?
I think that was in the middle of the
Yeah,
third
that's-
episode.
Because how many episodes are there?
10 altogether. That was where you were was almost the end at that point. You got
Yeah, I was just like,
and the ending is just wow.
and it may have been, it might
Will
have been
will there be, do you know if it's been renewed for a second season, or do you think that was a one-time?
It kind of almost comes off like it should only be a one-season show, but the way it ends, it's kind of like, oh, we can go for it.
But then the thing is like, it's like when you look at like shows like Ozark is like going in their fourth season, like this is it. It's one of those shows that you're like, how far can you push the envelope? Like, what else can you do? And not necessarily for shock value, but what else can you do to keep everybody involved and keep the story moving?
Well, that's just like with Snowfall. I mean, the ending of Snowfall, the reason why these things happen the way they do when they do characters killed, just like I was saying, my sons and Aaron. If you're smart, you realize that the writing on the wall can only do this for so long.
Oh, yeah.
Because those shows can stay. Sitcoms could kind of do it because you just making none of the episodes connect. But with shows nowadays, they all connect with each other as a big story. You can, especially with a drama, you can't pull it out for so long.
Which is why I love, like I tell people all the time, like I love British television shows.
Me too.
Because
Me too.
you're gonna get 4, at the most 5 seasons, and that's it. Because after a while, it's kind of like Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Like Walking Dead could have been done in 4 seasons, maybe 5 of the next.
And now they're making it where you have to have their app
Yeah,
to even watch it. That's like if you didn't want to kill yourself, you literally killed yourself at that point. Because even people like me that would have kept watching. I work for kids. I have 4 kids of everything.
Yeah.
But I can't watch the show because they don't offer it in our package.
Yeah, and so I jailbroke my Fire Stick, so now I can get everything.
And you would have to do something like that just to watch the show. And it's crazy how you do that.
And I think like I said, Walking Dead it was a great show. I mean, don't get me wrong, great show. But the biggest problem I had was like it just started to get too far fetched. Like really, there's a whole other group again in another area, and they're going to do the exact same things.
What they
got
did
repetitive.
it's
with
kind of like Game
different
of
faces.
Thrones.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with Game of Thrones. What they did is, the difference was Game of Thrones ran out of books. Walking Dead had plenty of material, but they got too far off the original story because the comic they stopped making, the last issue was last year or about 2 years ago. So they had all this material, but they got so far off with the timeline of the real anime that it's just like now you got to make up stories, and we all know writers get in a room and they kind of can't do that for so long. You know, at least the writer, when he made the comic, he had time to just take it so long to get each issue out, each story, develop the story better. Because comic book readers are a little bit different. We kind of will read something, and then you put it on ice for a while. It's cool. You can revamp it another way, and you can really think about how you can make that work. That's why Marvel is what Marvel is. Marvel always made a story in that storyline, and then found a way to put it all together. That's why I'm so shocked that the Marvel Universe is doing so well, because they get off of the real timeline of what really happened.
The original premise is just not there.
But I'm the same way. I kind of like, I tell you another one of my favorite shows, drama, and I hate to be like into drug movies, but drug shows get like.
That's why I like Snowfall, that's why I like Narcos.
Narcos is one of them.
Snowfall is one of the best written shows.
It is.
But I tell you,
And shout out to the late great John Singleton.
yes, and I tell you another great one too is Top Boy.
Oh, Top Boy. Hey,
I never did watch that.
you got
Is that a British show?
Yes, it is.
So
Okay.
good.
Yeah, you gotta watch
Because
it.
guys, they're African, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, they're British.
They're British.
but they're like, most of them are Caribbean British. So they're just Jamaicans, there's Trinidad, there's some Africans. Also, 000.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen
I
it.
never heard of that either.
So that tracks, it's a limited series, but it tracks a cocaine ship bought by and distributed by an Italian family that's in the mafia.
Okay.
And it's gritty.
Is it zeros or is it
No,
zeros?
zero, spelled out 000.
Okay.
And that's another one that is just like, I mean, you watch it and you'll binge watch it. It's not one of those shows you start watching like, all right, I'm right now, like, oh, next episode, yeah, let me go ahead and pause this, go get me something to eat, make sure I'm awake because
That's how Top Boy is. When the first few seasons that they did, and I mean, Drake, I ain't gonna lie, Drake put me on because he talked about the show. I heard it, I hadn't seen it, but I didn't really watch it. The first few seasons of it, before they did the release of the last one, I didn't watch it. I watched that one, and then that made me go back and watch the other ones. And then it was like, because I was like, how did they get here? And the thing is that you can watch the newest one and still be in the loop. You watch the other one, it's like just watching a prequel of what it was. But like it's good in the sense that I think what draws, especially Americans, to it is that, you know, especially in the black community, our identity to other cultures or other black people in other countries, we don't really know.
Yeah.
And if you're not well traveled, you have no clue. And the one thing about England is that, and especially EU in general, is that they have this veil of water that separates us. We don't know the stories of other people that live and that are immigrants. Because I remember the first time I went to England, I was just like dumbfounded because it's like so crazy when you get there. If you ever visit, you see the how the political arena is, and it's almost like a European version of America, where they just kind of like, why are these people coming here? So you mean to tell me you conquered all these nations, and you're mad that these people came back?
brought them here as slaves and servants. And the fact that they've gotten their freedom and now they're like, hey, come here. Like they're bringing the rest of their family to make a better life.
And let's call it what it is. Kidnapping.
Trevor Noah has a great job.
It's it's kidnapping.
It is.
So, and again, we'll get you started on reparations, but, you know, but it,
If you watch it, you kind of get it.
So,
If you really watch those
you
shows,
program the FAFO in there yet?
I did not.
Oh,
I
okay.
after the show today. I definitely will.
but if you watch it, you get a good depiction of how it works. And another thing too, given that America's climate now is trying to look at the Second Amendment. Keep in mind, England has very strong laws in the sense that no one should have guns, but you watch this show, everyone's got guns and they're all killing each other or they're stabbing each other. So it's kind of like, and that was something that was funny too. I kept hearing that in political arenas because I come off like a liberal, but I'm not a liberal. So when I talk to people and they tell me about how they feel about it, I'm like, have you ever been to another country?
I haven't even been out of the state sometimes.
It's like, and I ask you, next question, do you want to get stabbed or shot? because
I'd rather get shot.
they
But you know-
stabbing each other.
But you know what is interesting?
I felt both. I'd rather get shot.
What I didn't know, only 5% of Americans have passports. That's a, I know, it's bizarre to me. I
That's only
don't
when I moved
get
to
that.
Florida. Like I moved to Florida, moved to Port St. Lucie, which is 45 minutes south near Palm Beach, an hour and a half to 2 hours in South Beach, 2 hours north in Orlando. And I had, made friends with people who had literally never been outside of the county. Mind you, they're 30 years old. I'm like, so you've never been to Palm Beach? Well, I've gone down there for a party, but you've never actually
Spent time.
visit the city.
Yeah,
You've never gone to Miami and gone to the art district.
yeah.
No,
Wynwood, yeah.
nothing.
You got people that aren't even from that area.
Yeah,
States away that have flown there several times to the extent that they know the area.
Yeah,
And you
live here.
know we're far from there.
I mean, same thing with people who live in Orlando who've never been to Disney or never been to Universal Studios. And like, you realize this is 20 minutes away from your house. People fly from other countries, other continents.
And they've been there.
Yeah, and
It's
the
not
tour, and the tourism industry is why there's no state income tax in Florida. Because
Yeah.
the money's coming through.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I just saw, the city of Las Vegas announced that June 1st, everything will be back. And, the comedian Bill Maher said he's gonna start doing shows in Vegas again, so it's coming back, coming back. Speaking of coming back, I got a picture to show you. Our boy, posted this on his IG, yesterday. He's healing, on his way back. So it's good to see Tiger up and around from his car
I'm
accident.
rooting for Tiger.
Me too.
I'm rooting for him.
Me too.
Always, man.
Man, that HBO special on him told me so much about him. I don't know if you all watched Tiger.
I saw it.
It made me realize it wasn't just a question of when he was going to, if he was going to break down, it was a when.
Yeah, sure.
Because his parents were, in one case, his best asset, but in some instances, they were also his best detriment
Oh
too.
yeah, they were just that was strict, man. Don't get it wrong. Like he was there for him in the ways that a father should be there, but the examples outside of golf were completely negative.
Yeah.
It was not a healthy situation to say.
And I respect the fact that Tiger has taken those lessons and applied them to his own kids. Like his son is Charlie's already a phenomenal golfer. And but he has a love for it. And Tiger's not pushing him. He's like, you want to play? Go play.
If you don't,
But if you don't,
No problem.
find what your passion
find your
is.
identity.
Yeah, I'm not going to force something on you. So,
What's funny is that when it comes to people like that, everybody forgets it's a cause and effect to all the behavior and the development that you had as a child. When you had your father and your mother is a depiction of who you're going to be. Because when people saw all that, they were like, their immediate thought was, oh, he's just off the rails. And my mindset is just like, how did you get here?
You're a product of your environment.
yeah.
And then people forget that. They just want to.
You didn't see that. What the
They just
biggest
want
thing was
they want to judge.
the light was always, the spotlight was always on the positive parts.
Yes.
You never saw the negative. You never saw what he saw as a child growing up.
Yeah.
So you don't understand, you can't identify with it. But then, like I said, when you watch that story, you see it. Then you see, this is why he is what he is. Because this is the example that was set for him.
The fact that that's as bad as it got is it could have been worse.
Could have been a lot worse.
A lot worse.
Could have been Charlie Sheen. That could have been old Charlie Sheen.
And given who Tiger Woods was, rather than social norms, racial norms, it may not have ended so well for him at all. I mean, even in the situations he's in now, he seeked out, therapy, trying to get better. And people still shit. And then you think about it, I mean, to be that young, playing that well. I remember the first time I saw him as a kid, and I was like,
Yes.
this is crazy. This phenomenal out here, just watching it. That's a great nostalgic part about watching stuff like that. I think as I get in that age, you guys are older than me, but I get in that age and I start seeing things when I was growing up, and I see it in life now.
Because as a child, you see it through that rose-colored lens.
Yeah.
Everything looks great. When you become an adult, you start to get more of the world and experience, you travel, you talk to different people. Then you get to see things for what they really are. On another level, you get some application. So purchase at the age 12. Which is
Did you?
fine.
All right. He's got 99 guns. He got 99 guns.
It works right. I was gonna say that. I was gonna let you say it.
Just put it right there. Put it right there on the platter for you.
You lob that thing out there, I'm gonna knock it out the park.
Lob that thing.
But no, yeah. So that's my new
The Atchison.
Yeah. And then actually looking at
And you know where to go get it too.
oh yeah.
We already know.
And I'm also looking at negotiating some land right now. A couple acres, almost 10. So I'm now looking at that Barrett.
50 cal.
She called AT&T. Reach out and touch them.
I gotta connect with one of you
I ain't
two.
trying to touch nobody that far.
I gotta connect with one of you two to go to the shooting range.
Anytime. Anytime.
Because I am a bit of novice, so you guys have background, you have expertise, so.
Yeah, man, that's the best thing. That's the first thing I do when I walk into a gun shop that has a gun range. Like I just go inside.
I'm not really with jet fuel. I like to smell jet fuel.
Shockingly, jet fuel slightly gives me trauma.
Well, that's what you go with.
That's part of it. But just like the smell, because you go on rotary here, that's what you smell. When you come out there, you know what it is when you're in the Army, you don't deal with aircraft, you don't even know what it is. It smells like maybe a generator burn, but that's actually jet fuel. And you get ready, it's go time.
Yeah.
It's go time. Put the helmet on, walk in there, it's like,
Takes you back.
coming on down, Black Hawk, flying through the sky.
18 more holes.
Yeah, shockingly, like in the Air Force, they were actually talking about getting rid of it. And all the guys, all the mechanics I work with, they're like, it's not necessary. It's like, you don't understand. We hear those things come through, we know it's game time.
Yeah.
It's between us, that, and when we fire helicopter. When they come through, they'll turn a little bit Swiss cheese in seconds. That Apache comes through, you know it's over. They know it's over. When they hear that Apache, they know. They scramble like roaches when the lights come on as soon as that thing comes through.
So, speaking of both of you having served and are currently serving, what's your take on the current administration's decision to pull troops out of Afghanistan? Do you think it's a good decision, not so good, mixed, or what?
I mean, I think, to be honest, we did what we needed to do. At this point, just personally, I think we're stretched too thin as it is. Like, we're fighting wars all over the world.
We are.
We don't have enough of our own protecting U.S. soil, period. I mean, I understand the thought process behind, keeping footholds in places so that things don't erupt, but we can't be the world leaders. We can't. Like, we have way too much things going on here. And then just the thought about families. Luckily, when I was a soldier, like I didn't have a family per se. I had my parents and a sister, but I didn't have a wife. I didn't have kids. Like I didn't have any of that. So it's a different perspective when you think about now. The majority of the people who serve, they have families back home. They have husbands. They have wives. They have children. It's looking at it from a child's perspective. It's hard to, my mom or my dad is a soldier, and I would see before they grow up and do all the stuff. And it's hard on the parent too, because now you still have to be that positive. You're in the negative area, you're in an area where people don't like you, people don't want you there, you're in your country, and you still have to put in this positive face. It's time to come home. It is. I just think so. There's certain areas that you need to be, but like I said, we're spread too thin. So the point of the military is protecting it. What are we protecting now? Like,
Especially in that region where they've been fighting forever.
you look at fighting. I mean, you look at talk about it. Look at the whole Palestine situation.
Yeah, Israel, Palestine, yeah.
Like that's not even right. That's a regular war. That's a religious war. That's like the Crusades.
Yeah.
And it's been going on forever. And it'll be going on after me.
Yeah.
You know, after my kids, this is, there are certain things.
That's been going on since America was even America.
For what?
You gotta think about it. And not even generation, every single Israeli has at some point in time had some blood on their hands dealing with the conflict, and it's never ending. I mean, when it comes to this conflict, I mean, it's been a long go. It almost feels like it's a Vietnam.
It's been 20
But
years.
it's different in the sense that
It's been 20 years.
we couldn't even, it's a little bit different because in Vietnam, we never really got a foothold. We claimed we did, we never really did. And here we got a foothold, we established commercial venues and everything, but it doesn't change. And I always feel that you can't change people with killing. And if you're changing, you're gonna change them to do the wrong thing, to do the right thing. They're gonna go further right. Yeah, they're gonna go further right. And we've literally been in it for 20 years, long enough to see that process already play out 3 times. So it's kind of one of those situations where when it comes to that, given my position, my stance in regards to where I am, in regards to the armed services, that I pray for everybody that's there. I pray for everybody that had to go. I wish the best for everybody. I mean, I can just say as one warrior to another warrior, rather than the one I had to shoot at. I understand.
Yeah.
And the reality is that we fought hard, we did good, and I think maybe it's better to try to look at other venues in regards to that. When it comes to administration pulling out, I've heard that's it. So,
Well, and what I've learned over the 20-something years is that wars don't solve anything. They never do. If you really want to control somebody or make them change their views, it has to be economic. Period. If you don't affect their pockets, you don't affect them at all.
I mean, just look at the conflicts that we didn't directly get involved with, and directly got involved with, we never did. The same leaders that we try to put in power, we're going back and trying to kill. Nicaragua is a perfect example.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You
that.
know, and the thing is that it's like we were saying about history. They put so much dirt on top of that story. It's unreal. I mean, I got a uncle, well, actually cousin. He served. I want to say 75th Rangers out there, and it wasn't until he got older that I realized that he was out there in the heat of it. And it's crazy because look at Nicaragua. We completely destroyed a group of people in our own country to fund a war that had nothing to do with us. And it's almost the same story we're seeing right now.
We created the war on drugs.
We literally did. And on top of that, not only did we create it, but we created it and they literally funneled it into a society. They funneled it into a society and they aimed at the worst, the most, the weakest group. I mean, I don't want to call us weak, but we were in a predicament where we were doing fine, and it always seems like history plays that way, where when we start doing better, something comes out of the woodwork.
And remember what Mao famously said, war is politics with bloodshed. Politics is war without bloodshed.
Into the pockets.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna get, oh shit moment. People realize we gotta get better, we gotta do different.
All about
We talk about the money in society where people don't want to pay for. They think that our tax money shouldn't go to people, to the society itself, in the sense of like right now we've been all getting these stimulus. So we've been getting these stimulus checks all this time, and it's just like, oh, we don't have the money for it. We have trillions of dollars for war.
So
So
Tupac said,
what if you didn't? What if you didn't
got
fight
money
for
for war, we're gonna feed the poor.
And I'm like I said, I'm a total advocate for a strong military. I don't think that I think it is a great thing to fund a good, strong military and keep them with all the gear they need. But you can tell me this as well as I can. We put so much money into it and we still get an inferior product. I mean, how much equipment you get issued that didn't work? I mean, I literally spent 12 months in Afghanistan fixing inferior equipment, signal equipment, because it wasn't designed to test. It was designed so that somebody in the company could underbid or outbid another group of people that didn't make a good product, and now you're stuck risking your life for that. You're getting shot at for a product that doesn't work right. People are dying because that product doesn't work right. And it's just in business. If you were a businessman, you get, and if you're a businessman, if your product didn't work, what would you do? Let me go. Find somebody else that make a better product.
Correct.
But it isn't about that. And to me, I think that when it comes to money, we talk about how we have all these money problems. Like, yeah, you're in debt. You're creating it. So when you talk about, and I'm not really much in administration because when it comes to politics, I don't really pick up administration groups. It's a conglomerate. Right? It's a straight conglomerate. Hurt yourself over there. I see.
So that food must have been good because I ain't hear a word out of it.
He was quiet.
He didn't even sit down.
He was quiet like a church mouse pissing on top.
So what's the next weapon of choice for you?
The way that these crazy administrations talk, back to the AK days. Because the way they talk. I mean, that's fine. I like AKs better.
What's wrong with this though? Just upgrade. Just upgrade it. Good to go.
It's a fine firearm. Yeah, I mean, the only problem is that prices, man, AK, so much because now.
Remember when they were like $400?
What?
AK
Yeah.
used to be like
AK, and that's a brand new one. Like I'm talking about AKs brand new out the box. You're pulling out of the crate, out of the plastic bag.
Yeah.
Lose everything.
Still has the same grease gun oil from the manufacturer, and it's got age on it because it's been sitting there so long.
It's sitting inside.
But now they modularize all of them. So now it's almost like they made an AK like an AR. So since a lot of guys realize that, they're like, oh, a lot to get these parts. It used to be with an AK, you had to make your own part. You had to find a
Somebody
country
machine
that,
for it.
yeah, machinist, or you could go to like, order a part from like a Russian company or something like that. But now they're becoming so popular, you can take an AK now and turn it to anything you want it to be. You can have everything you want out of it.
But I want to get a base AK.
I think Wendell would do.
I'm sure
You have it. I would not put that on.
that'd be fun.
It's supposed to be.
Well, I got some contribution, so I got to put service on.
We're 90 minutes. What you want to do?
You know what? You can go close. What's the name of that place, TC? Mark's?
What?
The Jamaican place you went
The
to.
grills.
The grill.
Oh, right down the street from Chantel's.
Yeah, so we're going to have to
Yeah. And before you get to Chantel,
Huh?
it's across the street from the post office. Before you get there.
Before you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the block.
Yeah. Want to get the card again?
Oh, you know we'll get the part about that. This is the Cigar Snob, Search Shirt and Suits, Chair for Steve, our invisible guest TC. I want to thank you guys for listening to another episode of the ATF Radio Show, and we'll be back next week with some more liquor, more cigars. And I'll probably show you a new gun.
Yeah. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. And as always, shoot.
And their masks.